Hi everybody, my name is Allan Porowski. I'm a fellow with the Youth and Adult Education Group in ECSP and HESP. Today I want to talk to you about a project that took up about 10 years of my career. It was the Communities and Schools National Evaluation. This project was funded by the Atlantic Philanthropies, and basically CIS is the nation's largest dropout prevention program. They serve about 1.3 million students in about 24 states. This project was a pretty challenging project because CIS is basically a nonprofit, and they wanted a highly rigorous national evaluation at a nonprofit budget. So what we did was we created 8 different evaluation components. So we have the 8 evaluation components include a quasi-experimental study, 3 randomized controlled trials, a benchmarking study, case studies, and in short, we had 8 different components that allow us to use this project as a call for almost any type of evaluation project that we have because it's so multifaceted. So I would be remiss if I didn't share with you some lessons learned. Considering this study took about 10 years of my life, there's some key lessons learned that I've really come to realize over the years about evaluating youth dropout prevention programs, and specifically any program working with at-risk youth. The first is that there's really this interesting relationship between dosage and outcomes. When CIS first approached us about this study, they wanted to show that the more services that they provide, the stronger outcomes CIS produces. In all actuality, because kids were coming in on a strong downward trajectory, and CIS was basically filling in and directing services to the kids falling down the fastest, there was actually a slightly negative relationship between dosage and outcomes. Basic pattern in CIS was you can envision it as a Nike swoosh. So kids were coming down on a strong downward trajectory, and over a protracted period of time they were improving. That's not to say that this dosage and these services didn't work. In all actuality, they did. But it's just that we have to keep in mind this trajectory of how far are kids falling and how fast are kids falling as you're delivering the services. So that relationship between dosage and outcomes was not as clean as we would normally think. Second key lesson learned, nodding does not equal understanding. When we're doing these high-profile research projects, like randomized controlled trials, a lot of times when you talk to staff, they're going to give you the head nod, but in all actuality, you have to make sure that everybody's on the same page and that everybody truly understands the gravity of what they're doing. RCTs are difficult to implement, and it's very important to make sure that staff understand exactly what they need to do in order to implement that research project with fidelity. The next lesson learned is RCTs are great for controlling unobservables, but not for explaining them. A randomized controlled trial really answers a single critical question, which is, does that program work? What it doesn't explain is kind of how and the why and in what situations does that program work. And we have to really, in order to give actionable recommendations to practitioners, we need to answer those other ancillary questions. The next lesson learned is sometimes there's a difference between what you have to measure and what you should measure. Everyone was interested in finding out if CIS had positive results on standardized test scores, but in all actuality, when you talk to program staff, they said, well, kids read more books at home, they get along with their friends better, the kids' parents are going to the principal more. There was a greater degree of trust as a result of this program, and a lot of that isn't captured in standardized test scores. The next lesson learned is that piecing together multi-component studies is pretty difficult. We had 26 original research questions in this study, and really what it boiled down to was 4 questions. Does CIS work? How does CIS work? Why does it work? And in what situations does it work? And then finally, go beyond the research questions. You know, data will take you on a journey, and it's important not to lock yourself into those research questions. Research questions are basically a guide to help you get from point A to point B, but they shouldn't be the totality of what we do. And then finally, I just want to say that the most important message you can convey to any program when you evaluate them is that we're not doing this evaluation to you, we're doing it with you. And that's incredibly important. For more information, please contact me at 703-225-2229, or you can reach me by email at aporowski@icfi.com. Thanks very much for your time today.